We back at it one more time with your boy Nick Fuentes talking that bullshit. But like I said, if he's out on MAGA, everybody's out. So let's see what he got.
This polling, because this goes hand in hand with everything I just said. So we now have the official public opinion polling on the war in Iran. And would you be surprised to learn, this is the biggest insight in my opinion, that the demographic that supports the war the most is actually MAGA Republicans? This is the data from NBC News. I'll just read it outright and we'll discuss it. It says, quote, a majority of registered voters disapprove of President Trump's handling of the situation in Iran and believe the U.S. should not have taken military action against the country, according to a new NBC News poll. 54% of voters disapprove of Trump's handling of Iran, compared with 41% who approve. A similar share, 52%.
First of all, MAGA, you can fool them with anything. Let's keep going.
Versus 41% say the U.S. should not have taken military action. The results show clear, if expected, partisan polarization over the issue. An overwhelming majority of Democrats, 89%, say the U.S. should not have struck Iran. Among independents, 58% believe that as well. Republicans are overall more supportive of the strikes. 77% say the U.S. should have struck Iran. 15% disagree. But there is a significant divide between Republicans who identify as MAGA and those who do not. A full 90% of self-identified MAGA-aligned Republicans back the strikes, with only 5% saying they don't think the strikes should have been launched.
I probably think it's even higher than that. I think it's probably closer to 100%. I have yet to meet a MAGA that has changed his mind. It just hasn't happened.
Among Republicans who do not see themselves as part of MAGA, they are more divided, with 54% supporting the strikes and 36% against them. NBC News poll also found a deep divide over the Iran war by age, with younger voters far more sour on the strikes than older voters. 2/3 of voters under 35 say the U.S. should not have struck Iran. It's about 50-50 for every other age group. Voters with college degrees are about evenly split over the strikes. Those with bachelor's or postgraduate degrees overwhelmingly believe the U.S. should not have struck Iran.
Yeah, it's no shock there. Smart people are not backing this war. So yeah, it's no shock there. The MAGA bros are on the dumb end of the stick. So let's keep it rolling.
Now, to me, this is just a nail in the coffin, because maybe it needs to be said. It's sort of sad that it does. When you go back to the original MAGA movement, when it all started, what this whole thing is about, Trump came down the escalator, and among other things, the biggest, most poignant thing he said is that the war in Iraq was a mistake, that we should put America first, that we had been fighting never-ending battles, that we had no business fighting, we have gained nothing from it, it's cost us a fortune, Americans have died, we haven't even achieved our goals. He said, and so this welfare warfare thing, invade the world, invite the world, the neoconservative agenda, he said this is a failure. And we need a change. He said we need an America First nationalist foreign policy.
That was before all the donors and everybody came in. So he says a lot of things, but most of the stuff is just a bunch of fluff.
And his credibility on the issue came from the fact that he was one of the earliest critics of the Iraq war in 2003. And whereas the Republicans at that time wanted to cast Donald Trump as a Democrat and say that he's not a true conservative, he's not of the establishment, he's not a loyal member of the movement.
He was a Democrat. He said it. He also said that the economy runs better with Democrats. He said that. That's like, we can't forget that. He said that. Keep it rolling.
Trump flipped that on its head and said the Republican establishment is corrupt too. And that maybe Trump doesn't fit into that mold, but that's a good thing because Republicans are losers and they have been pushing America Last policies with the Democrats. And whether it's Clinton or Bush, Obama or the other Bush, you're getting the same globalist policies that put Americans last. That was the genius. That was the vision of Trump 1, of the Trump 2016 campaign. Now, at that time, that was...
Yeah. The vision and what we got. This is the second time around. People don't realize it's the second time around. He gave us this the first time around. But Joe Biden was so bad at the end that we voted for this clown show again.
Actually an unpopular position. In 2016, when Trump first ran, 86% of Republicans had a positive view of George W. Bush. And more than 70% of Republicans believed that the Iraq War was a good thing, that we achieved our objectives and that we had won. So when Trump came down the escalator, let's think about it in these terms. Relative to the rest of the party, he was progressive. And by that, I mean he was pushing the right wing forward. He was a new wave politician. He was introducing a refinement, maybe a realignment, a new development. So whereas Republicans were stuck and they had lost and they still embraced this catastrophic war, which wasn't even really conservative. When you think about what conservatism is, this is a war that was fought for what? For Israel, for oil, for defense contractors. Take your pick. It was fought for everybody other than Americans, and that's not conservative. And so relative to the electorate and the movement and the party establishment, Trump was further to the right. Trump was an accelerant, a progressive. And insofar as Trump was ascendant and surging and popular, he was having an impact on the rest of the party. You could argue he was moving the Overton window. He was dragging them forward into the future. He was influencing the GOP, the conservative movement, the electorate in a positive way. He was pushing the envelope, pushing us to where we need to go. That was in 2016. 80% of Republicans are pro-George Bush, pro-neocon, pro-Iraq war, and Trump comes out as the radical contrarian. He comes out as the accelerationist, the right-wing progressive that says, I'm a nationalist, I'm America first, I repudiate the legacy of George W. Bush, I repudiate the movement conservatism, the GOP establishment.
One thing about Trump, though, he is a master manipulator. Like, he gets people to follow along, and it's like a worship. I mean, it's like a whole nother level of support that I've never even seen before. I mean, it is. I mean, you're talking like people will die for this guy. It's like it's a weird thing, and yeah, I just I don't understand it. But let's keep it rolling.
I repudiate principled conservatism if it means spending blood and treasure for gains that we don't even have. He realigned what it is to be right-wing, what it is to be Republican. I supported him then. Here we are 10 years later, and let's look at where the party is. Now, 90% of MAGA Republicans and Trump support this war in Iran, which is meaningfully the same thing. This is a war that has no tangible benefit for Americans. This is a war that is virtually identical to the war in Iraq. The buildup is the same. The pretext is the same. The problems are arguably similar, if not worse. The risks, the possibility of profound second-order consequences economically, militarily, and otherwise for the United States. Arguably, it's Iraq on steroids. It's far worse. And now you look at where these two sides are relative to one another. Well, Trump, he obviously is the conservative movement. He is the Republican Party establishment. And the electorate is his voters. They are his voters. So he was on the outside. Now he's the inside. And now he's bringing us to war in Iran. And all those people, the 20% from 2016, the 20% from back then that were on the outside, that were with Trump, with the new wave, with the progressive visionary thinking, well, now they've been brought all the way back into the establishment. People that signed up with Trump in 16 against the war, Trump has now delivered them into the war. And actually, it is the people that are anti-Trump or not part of Trumpism. It is the percentage of Republicans that don't identify as MAGA that are actually better on this issue. They're actually more progressive, more nationalist, more America first. I did not vote for Trump in 2024. Why? Because in 2016, Trump was driving all of this forward. You could say he was moving the ball down the field, so to speak. If the end zone is a radical right-wing movement that is nationalist, nativist, that is restrained, that restrains Israel, that acts in its own interest, then Trump was moving the party closer to that ideal. He was exerting pressure, exerting gravity and magnetism, pulling the party, the conversation, the energy to the right place, in the right direction. Fast forward 10 years later, it is the opposite. He is holding everything back. There are people in the GOP that are correct. They're against the war. And this time, it's actually the educated voters. It's the low information, non-college educated voters, the MAGA voters that support the war. Now it's the college educated that are saying this is a disaster.
Of course. The MAGA, that fan base is pretty much mashed potato brains. Most of them are. And so it doesn't shock me that college educated people are just not in this. They're not for this war. Nick Fuentes is hitting everything right on the head about Donald Trump. He's a con. I mean, he's a super con artist, but most people haven't seen it yet. You know what I mean? It hasn't affected them directly, so they're just looking past it. But eventually it's gonna trickle down. I'm telling you, in California right now, the side effects from this war. I mean, I've seen places like some gas stations almost $10 a gallon, which is like almost laughable. In some red states, it's gonna be exploding there too. So it's got to give it some time, and it's getting bad out there. So especially for the people that don't, that are living paycheck to paycheck and can't afford basic supplies. So just keep it going.
There's no plan here. This has been mishandled at the minimum. It was probably ill-conceived regardless of how it was handled. And what does Trump do to the people that are against the war? He tries to annihilate them. He tries to ostracize them, tries to destroy them. This is Marjorie Greene. This is Thomas Massey. This is Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly. All of the people that are now anti-war, anti the war that he delivered, it's not enough that he's driving these events, but he's holding everybody back.
Yeah, but the only one that actually goes after him is Marjorie Taylor. All the other ones, they just seem to kind of throw a little jab here, a little jab there. Everybody has to just lay the gauntlet on him, and they have to do the Nick Fuentes and just go straight, put your head down, and just rip this administration to shreds, because people follow this, these influencers like these podcasters, influencers, and just talking hairdos for this MAGA movement. So but they need to literally stop tucking their tail in between their legs and just go full force. Gotta do the Nick Fuentes, man. Nick Fuentes is out here destroying. He's out here, just saying it how it is. You know what I mean?
From going further to the ideal. He's actually the fourth of lethargy. He's retarding progress. He's actually sabotaging and thwarting progress Whereas you might have right-wing people that are more extreme in their opposition to the Israel lobby, more extreme in their opposition to the buildup to war in Iran. Trump is pulling them right back, punishing anybody that he perceives to be disloyal. That's why I can't support it anymore, because how can you argue now that this is an asset when this is clearly a liability? And like I said, that other effect, and maybe this is the most tragic part about it, this is a movement that was born to oppose these things, as we have all been talking about. You used to identify as MAGA. What did Make America Great Again mean? It was actually, in a very explicit way, in contradistinction to nation building, regime change. What's the big idea? Well, we spent $8 trillion in the Middle East building gas stations and building residential buildings and building a democracy and making sure women can vote. And we spent trillions of dollars building Afghanistan. And people died over there for this. And this took 20 years. And the whole idea is, let's make our country great again. Instead of making Iraq great, instead of making Afghanistan great, with our money and our effort.
I'm not even going to lie to you. That America First hat looks kind of cool. That Make America Great Again hat looks burnt out and tired. It would. You got to burn that. If you got one of them hats, man, just take it outside, throw some lighter fluid on it, and burn it. It just looks stupid as hell. I'm kind of fucking with the America First one, though. That's just kind of cool.
And our sacrifices, let's make America great. Instead of prioritizing the foreign interests that brought us into those conflicts, or the refugees that resulted from them, or the people that were devastated by them, let's put our people first. Let's build up their quality of life. Let's build our infrastructure. Wasn't that the whole idea? Wasn't that the whole Bowl New Deal Republican idea, that we would have an infrastructure bill, roads, bridges, highways, airports? Instead of spending $7 trillion building stuff there, let's spend $7 trillion building stuff here. Instead of building it for them or for foreign interests, let's build America for American interests. That's making America great again. The ideas are inseparable. America First and making America great again are inseparable. They're inextricable. And they're inextricable from the conversation about nation building and immigration. Instead of blowing up other countries and...
Nick has a point here. I mean, we got none of that stuff. He promised a lot of this stuff, but we got none of it. I mean, you kind of already knew what you were going to get when Elon Musk and, you know, he had his money in there. He wanted his... When you donate, you know, millions of dollars, you want something for your money, you know. So, you know, he was able to get his government contracts and wiggle his way in there. It wasn't about that. It was about him getting what he wanted. And, you know, most of these people, they got what they wanted.
Rebuilding them and then inviting the refugees here and housing them and feeding them. Let's take care of our own. Let's make ourselves great like we used to. Well, that's what it meant in 2016 when everybody signed up. And if you're one of those people that was brave enough to put on the hat and support MAGA back then, and you stuck with Trump all these years later, in order to remain MAGA, you actually have to support the opposite of it. 90% of people that identify as MAGA now are in favor of doing the exact opposite. And Trump is literally posting, "Make Iran great again."
I'm going to end it there. And, you know, I'm going to end it right there. But, yeah, he is definitely wanting to make Iran great again. And it's kind of sad. But anyway, like, share, subscribe, more content. I'm going to be posting more of this stuff. Trying to wake people up, yeah, and get people on the right path, because we definitely need some change, and this is not a good look for us. So if Nick Fuentes is not on board, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that are just out on this whole administration. It's a clown show. Have a good weekend. Peace.